Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased and honored to have in the Man Cave for the very first time the Mayor of Toronto, Mayor Rob Ford. Welcome aboard, Mayor Ford.
David,
thank you so much. And perfect timing too, folks. The issue of the Toronto Sun today, if we can get a shot of that, Mayor Ford gets the last laugh. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, what that's in regard to is that on Monday, Mayor Ford dodged the third legalistic bullet to get him out of office. This time it was the city's Compliance Audit Committee that voted not to prosecute him according to alleged contraventions in the Municipal Elections Act. And Mayor Ford, if we can talk about that, first of all, one of the allegations is that you had overspent what I consider to be a trivial amount, 3% of your election campaign going back to 2010. What did you make of this recent case against you?
Oh, this is simply the Leftwing coming after me, trying to make hay when there's nothing there. First they started off with the Rob Ford Football Foundation, and then they went to the Felitas deal down on the beaches, the Tugs deal. Now they're coming after me on what I spent on the campaign. They're relentless. They're just, they want the spending to continue. And as you see what I've done in the last 2 years, I've flatlined the spending. We're spending less last year than we did the year before. It's unheard of. And they just want to keep going, and the party's over.
Well, you know, I think it was the Chicago Bulls that coined the phrase three-peat, but this is your three-peat. You mentioned the other two cases, of course. There was the alleged conflict of interest that Clayton Ruby on the behalf of Paul Magdar brought against you, and last month you were cleared of that. And of course, the George Falutis case, very interesting. He claimed it was a $6 million libel case. He claimed you libeled him in comments that you made to the Toronto Sun editorial board, but did not go after the Sun itself, which is very unusual in a libel case and seems to support the fact, Mayor, that most of these cases the common denominator seems to be that they're politically motivated.
Well, I personally believe they are. Obviously, you can't prove it, but when they put the same people together, they all match up at the end of the day. So, and you know, we'll see who pays their legal bills. They have the nerve to come out and say, well, the city has insurance. Why don't you go and get your money from the taxpayers? The last thing I'm going to do is go to the taxpayers and say, give me the $120,000 that, in this case, in the foundation, my football foundation, that they owe me, my legal fees. You know, I'm not going to use the insurance for that purpose. If Mr. Magner and Mr. Luby took me to court and they lost, then they're going to pay it. I'm not going to have the taxpayers pay it.
Well, you know, Mayor Ford, I found Clayton Ruby's statements on this, on the cost issue, fascinating, because he said words to the effect that considering you got off on a technicality, this is a large bill to pay for legal fees. And this is a lawyer. I mean, forgive me, but this is a guy who has gotten some of the worst scumbags off technicalities. He's made a career of that. And certainly, if it was the other way, he'd want his legal fees compensated. What do you make of this incredible double standard?
It's just a bunch of hogwash. He's a sore loser. I was not giving up the fight, and they knew I wasn't. And so I lost the first round. I appealed it. I was successful. So why didn't he say that when he won the first round? You know, it's to me, it's all hypocrisy, and I'm sick and tired of the games they're playing, and I want to get on with the next election and show people, let them try to beat me at the ballot box, and if they can, all the power to them, and I'll leave gracefully. But until then, I feel very good in the next campaign, where we're getting ready, and we've done a tremendous amount of work in the first 2 years and going into our third year, and I'm very proud of what our administration has accomplished.
Now, of course, they couldn't beat you at the ballot box going back to 2010. They've tried the court approach. The other element here, Mayor Ford, is the media. And I've seen so many elements of the left-wing media, what I consider to be using the most unfair attacks, very personal attacks, you know, based on your image, based on your weight. I mean, personally, as a journalist, I felt embarrassment and shame. Were you expecting the kind of vitriol you and your family has received from some of the left-wing media outlets in this city?
I'm not surprised. They've been doing it since I've been in politics 13 years ago. They want to, you know, go after my big belly. At least it's paid for, that's for sure. And I'm not using taxpayers' money. You know, if that's all they have, then obviously my politics must be working. I'll debate anyone, anytime, any journalist, anytime, if they want to criticize me for my politics and what my administration has done. I'll be more than happy to debate them on that. But if you want to get personal, I feel sorry for them if that's all I have to.
But Mayor Ford, do you think there's been instances where they've crossed the line? I mean, in the 8 years of the Miller regime, I have to tell you, to this day, I still don't know what neighborhood David Miller lives in Toronto. We've had with you, we've had CBC personalities, we've had a Toronto Star reporter staking out your house, looking over a fence. I mean, I've never seen this kind of personalized attack on a mayor of Toronto.
Neither have I. I've served under Mayor Lastman and Mayor Miller, and obviously with my administration, I guess we're doing things differently, and it's the taxpayers that are benefiting at the end of the day. And they don't like it, and neither does the media, certain media. And you know, I say to hell with them. You know, you want to bring it on, and you know, I'll fight, you know, face to face, and I'll go toe to toe with these people because I know what I'm doing is right. I know the taxpayers are supporting me, and we'll see it in the next election. You know, talk's cheap. Let's just see what happens in the next election and take it from there.
And Mayor Ford, can you tell me what is the unspoken strategy driving these kind of attacks, driving the hatred towards you and some of your policies? I mean, is it just that in the city of Toronto we've had a left-wing council that has been so used to getting its way, so used to riding the gravy train that you long rail against, that they really don't like the new sheriff in town?
I couldn't say it better, David. For years and years and years, Toronto's been known as a very left-wing NDP city. Well, until you get someone like myself, and I don't pull any punches, I'm definitely on the right side of the spectrum. I believe that you got to run the city like a business. They're not used to that. And the suburbs, Etobicoke, North York, and Scarborough, these people obviously are right of center, and that's where I went, downtown. You know, they'll spend more money and just squander it as fast as you can run that water on your tap. So it's unfortunate. We're balancing things out, and honestly, some people downtown even came up to me and said, "I didn't support you first, but what you're doing is true." So if I can get a couple of people downtown on our side, and we're good on the suburbs, I think we'll be in good shape.
Indeed, your popularity is on the rise, as I understand it. You know, Mayor, I think the jump the shark moment came in terms of this litigation against you when you had Sid Ryan, of all people, hardly a conservative, hardly a Ford supporter, hardly a supporter of our news network, but making it known that this was dead wrong going after you through litigation as opposed to the ballot box. When you see somebody like the head of the Ontario Federation of Labour on that left-wing side of the spectrum saying these comments, I think it really indicates just how ridiculous all these court actions have been.
Ridiculous, desperate. I'm not quite sure what the proper terminology is, but I know one thing. I guess they don't have their hand in the cookie jar anymore, and I've taken it out, and the gravy train's over, and we're running the city like a business, and we're flatlining. You know, you look at how much money it was spent under the Miller era, and look at what we spent now. It's truly incredible. We've saved $1 billion in the last 2 years. These are facts. This is you know, not fiction. So I'm very proud of what we've done, and I'm going to stay the course, and we'll keep saving taxpayers' money and improving services and contracting out services. If we can deliver service at a more an effective, a better way and a cheaper cost, and that's what I'm going to do.
Next question, Mayor, for part one of our interview here. Given that you know you have enemies there, you know they will pounce upon any technicality to do you in, do you think you've been, for lack of better words, scared straight? In other words, that when it comes to absolutely going by the rule book just for your own, you know, preservation, just to deny your enemies the fodder they need, do you think there'll be any changes in the way you conduct yourself in your affairs moving forward?
There's not a more honest politician than I am, and I have gone by the rule book. Now, a few things using my letterhead for my football foundation, I've changed that, but I am who I am. People want me to change. What do you want me to change into a left-winger, become a tax and spend socialist? That will never happen. I'll tell you that. I'll put my life on it. So I am who I am, and I follow the rules. And I guess we had a minor glitch in our campaign. We explained where the mistake went for 3%, and with the Tugs deal, you know, I said what I said, and it was up to the judge to decide.
And of course, the Tugs deal, this was somebody getting an exclusive non-tendered contract to basically have a monopoly on that part of the beachfront property to run a restaurant.
Completely went against what staff said. Staff said, let's go out for an RFP, and they didn't want to do that. They wanted to sole source it. So I still think things, I don't feel good about that, and I'd like to see that revisited someday.
One last question, Mayor Ford. Do you think that there is any other kind of technicality, litigation, whatever, by your enemies that might be, sent your way to as another kick at the can? Usually it's 3 strikes and you're out, but who knows?
Nah, I'm not quite sure. They're probably conjuring up something as we're speaking now, so they might be going back to my grade 6 teacher and say, did you do my homework that day? Or I don't know, maybe I missed a test, I didn't do my homework one day. You never know, they might throw that up. I don't know. Oh. Yeah, I don't put anything past them. So we'll see what happens. Mayor
Ford, don't give them ideas. I think Daniel Dale is probably going through the yearbook right now. Holy smokes. Thank you so much, Mayor Ford, for coming on. And folks, keep it